opportunities that exist. Buying Canadian supports Jamaicans. The negative side of the advocacy is the Jamaican government is not advocating appropriately to ensure that all farms are in compliance with the health and safety of workers that are paramount. One cannot operate from a mindset that rocking the boat will cause closure to the program. Policies and agreements are in place and must be adhered to. Many of our migrant farm workers return year to year to the same farms. How can that be leveraged? Many have been coming back for 10 years or more, some 25 years. Some of these farmers start second families, which is a reality, right? Of second generation Canadians. How can we connect with that? So another area missed. The underutilization of dance hall and cultural industry. Due to our biases towards the sector, we have managed to ostracize and even negate to engage your knowledge, resources, and connectivity to home. Of all the sectors, the so-called dance hall group readily contributes to a high percentage of remittances that are sent home, barrels and investments in properties and businesses. For many communities, it is sector that holds the neighborhood together through their philanthropic efforts and investment into communities that many shun or are afraid to venture. We cannot continue to thumb our noses or discount the value they bring. The government has to do a better job of galvanizing the sector and involving that in the economic framework and structures. So much more can be gained by challenge efforts. Some of the largest revenue sources for Jamaica comes from the cultural industry and the numerous festivals, plays, concerts that are held, drawing massive overseas crowds. There are things that attract second and third generation Jamaicans in diaspora. These happens these activities and initiatives to leverage. Last one, a lobbying group. There are no lobbying or advocacy groups that presently represent Jamaicans with the Canadian government. For far too long, the hierarchy systems that we have instilled has been to our detriment here in Canada. Rifts occur too often, causing issues to be unchallenged, individually brought under scrutiny, or unactualized gains. Such entities can lobby the Canadian government on behalf of Jamaicans, highlighting key issues such as the importance of the role of free trade agreements, we just went through, we were not players, immigration, import, exports, etc., even the marijuana industry, right? They're now in our country, yet we're not really seeing the benefits except for those private sector individuals. Supporting and establishing or liaison Jamaican Chamber of Commerce that is independent. And for those of you guys who are paying attention, we just started a Black Business Chamber of Commerce that is now individuals are moving across Canada trying to get individuals to buy in. And we're able to pick up issues and leverage our attention.
Thank you so much, Yvette. So thank you, George. Thank you, Yvette. That has been two thought-provoking presentations touching on a wide range of issues, including how the Jamaican government can help to leverage the areas of opportunities that are available, as well as how Jamaicans in Canada can help to maximize these areas that can benefit both Jamaicans in Canada as well as Jamaica itself. So I think this is an opportunity.
Would capture a lot of what we were asking about, what Yvette just said, like things, mobilizing and being a space where you can lobby. You're right there in Ottawa. I mean,
Jamaican Canadians in helping to advance the interests of Jamaicans here and in the diaspora. So she mentioned, an organization like the National Council of Jamaicans, which used to come together, organizations across Canada who came together to try and, add that collective voice and increase our presence. But I think where we still struggle as organizations in Canada is this idea that we must be advocating on behalf of Jamaicans. That the only way that we're going to move on some of these things like immigration, apart from sort of making the noise and pushing and highlighting some of the challenges, is to be able to come together collectively as 10 or 12 organizations across Canada and say these are the top 3 things that we need for our people. So whether that's farm workers or whether it is business, when they talked about mangoes and importing mangoes to Florida, what have we done as Canadians, Jamaican Canadians, to advocate for greater access for Jamaican farmers to Canadian markets? That is an area that in the 20 or 25 years that I have been in the space, where I still see there's a big void for, that we have not grappled as a community. And so I think that's one of the things that you talked about, you know, there are many issues that I saw on that slide, but that's one of the ones I wanted to really highlight, that we need to figure out a way to do that. That isn't your role, that's our role as organizations and people who sit and lead organizations in Canada.
Thank you, Jomo. Yes, I was intrigued by three or four issues, and how would you go about identifying that? But
a Diaspora group, and so I'm concerned. I think there's all these great things happening in Canada, and I'm in Toronto, Scarborough, whatever, and I've never, like, none of these groups have come to me or to my community, or maybe they have, and I just haven't seen any work, or if the work that is being done is not being translated to us, the next generation that is coming up. So I don't know where that is.
that question?
And I think that goes to my point where I tapped in, right? That the first generation, we're not doing a good job. So all of us that have children here, our parents, when they came, we still were going to the Caribbean Center or the West Indian stores, right? So we still had it, you're coming back home or being brought home to visit auntie and cousins. So there was the attachment, you knew about the NHT fund that was there, that was ready for you, or you were going to transfer this, or the house was going to be put in your name. Then all of a sudden, then that generation had children, and it's like, we didn't want that association of Jamaica, the hard work and all of that, right? You're going to now go to university, and people got the disconnection happen. So even to your point, we've had, JCA has been around forever. The Diaspora has been around forever, whether it was through the JASAC or even through our alumni association. So the promotion and the work is out there. But the first generation has, and actually it's the second generation, has lost that connectivity of saying, here, still go to this. This is still part of your information that you need to know. Because if you ask, like Mike, I think my daughter's one of the rare ones, because if you say to my daughter, though she's part Jamaican, part Trinity, she'll be like, her friends will be like, well, what are you doing when you retire? I mean, I have a house in Jamaica. I'm going to Jamaica, right? But it's like, so, right, so it's a matter of our conversation, that's what I'm saying here as a collective. We have to do better, even then for you being here, we applaud, and now we gotta figure out how do we connect you, because you're Scarborough, you're still Toronto. How do we ensure we connect you then? If you haven't been to JCA, how do we connect you to JCA? You know, Mr. Barnett used to be with the alumni. Right, with the Alliance, I was just about to come there, with the Alliance, and then.
All of this too, because like, if I can come to Jamaica, I wouldn't even know about all of these associations.
But then I'm gonna turn it back a little back to you.
Yeah, and I have been, like, even living in Toronto stuff, like I've been a part of many councils in Toronto, but I've never come across, except for what's the one that Gina Finch called again?
Well, there's the JCA.
That's the only one that I know of.
Because that's the mama one, but the Alliance have been around forever, which taken all different, either old school, district areas. So there's a lot, again, it's that disconnect that we're not even saying to our children, do your Google research then, or go and find out about this activity, because the consulate office, they send out mass emails. If he has your email, every day some things are going out to families, to individuals about what's happening in the you know, what programs they run. The High Commission office also sends information out. Our website, which I know a lot of people, for some reason, the traction didn't pull, but there's a Diaspora website that has everything, even about conference policies, national policy, but again, we're missing it, and I'll take that as an ownership as to how we need to do a better job.
Yeah, because it's been, like, even this conference here has been going on for 8 years. Sorry, how many years?
More than 8 years, it's kind of biannual.
But I have.
But when you talk about a dance hall show or they're there, right? They're really there, they know. So in the Jamaica Association in Montreal, we're also trying to attract young people by doing different things, and we do an array of different things. And yet, when we have a dance hall show, they show up. And we're still announcing all that on our Facebook page where the dance hall is. But you know, we did stuff on Tinos, we're doing stuff on the language. They're not there. They're not connecting to that thing, right? And it's on the same page and on our website and in our newsletters, and we're reaching out to people. So, and we're reaching out. Actually, we're reaching into the university, there's a Caribbean Students Association, and we send them in.
You highlight something that Mike has been president of the Jamaican Association in Montreal. We have taken 3 years we've been there, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we're doing stuff every which way we can to try and reach the younger generation. And they kind of see us, but they don't see us. And,
You know,
then,
yeah. Can I just add one quick thing too? Just as Yvette was talking about having that space to go to,
Yeah.
because I remember too when I used to grow up, because initially I'm from like the West End, so there used to be that Jamaican community that you can go to. There isn't that anymore because of this whole gentrification.
But-
So,
yes.
although you are doing the
the
social,
space is there,
Yeah,
right? But the connection isn't there.
Right.
And the thing that I'll say honestly that frustrates me is when your generation, sometimes even the older generation, when something actually occurs,
Yeah.
and then after the fact, say, we never know about that,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much more publicity we can do, how much more stuff we can do to get the word out there that this Jamaica Association exists, it's there for Jamaicans and others, and we're doing all this stuff, and then somebody says, I don't know. If you're on any form of social media, if you're, like, if you have an interest, something that you're interested in, right? You don't sit back and wait for it to find you.
Right.
You actually go out and look about it, and that's what needs to happen. If I'm interested in, fixing cars as a hobby, I'm not going to sit back and wait for the car. I'm going to go on YouTube, I'm going to go wherever to find out these things. If I'm interested in a book club, I'm going to do that. So as a Jamaican, whether you're first or second generation,
The economic decline that is predicted will certainly affect Jamaicans living in the UK and Jamaicans with the aspiration of moving to the UK. Because of course, most of us went to the UK to seek a better life, in quotes. That meant gaining employment, right? And living in an environment that would allow you to fulfill your dreams. I'm afraid with Brexit, that might become difficult. Right? The economic decline is predicted after Brexit, if we ever have Brexit. And so for the diaspora, this may lead to job losses. So as much as I had a very colorful introduction from the High Commissioner, I might end up not being able to design jet engines because of the economic challenges. It's already difficult for people of color to get a job in Britain. At one point, I think in 2016, unemployment in the black community was 50%. Right? That has improved, but of course, with Brexit, we might go back to those very sorry days. The other fallout from Brexit, which is the one that really worries me, is a worsening race relations environment. The number of recorded hate crimes has more than doubled in the past 5 years. Now, for the uninitiated, the British like to play with words. So racism is now being bundled up into this word called, in this phrase, hate crime. So when I say hate crime, there's racism in there, right? But hate crime also covers other things such as Islamophobia and so on. All the major forms of discrimination. But we've seen a significant increase since Brexit. The other thing that we've observed as well is an increase in nationalism, not just in the UK, but of course next door in America. And right across Europe, we've seen the rise of the so-called far right, or white supremacy. So Brexit definitely presents a challenge for the Jamaican diaspora community. Let us recall that we lost Stephen Lawrence, who was murdered due to a racial incident. Let us also recall that we lost Anthony Walker, who was hit in the head with an ice pick because he had a white girlfriend. He's of Jamaican heritage. So racism is a life and death issue. Now I know most of you, when you receive your remittances, your relatives don't tell you this. But these are the challenges that we face in the UK, in America, and in Canada. And with Brexit in the UK, there's a strong potential that race relations will get worse. Of course, we have the Race Relations Act in Britain, but I think that when we exit the European Union, the rights under the Race Condition Act might be eroded. So there's also the challenge of immigration, which is my last point in terms of implications. Some of you may recall that the Australian style point system, the Canadian style point system is no longer being discussed. And if you look at the draft immigration documents around immigration, there's nothing there that reflects a relaxation in the hostile immigration policies against non-Europeans. Nothing. What they do reflect is perhaps the implementation of rules that will affect Europeans in terms of them coming there to work. They may now require work permits. But I'm almost sure that Europeans will be given visa-free access to the UK to visit. I'm almost sure of this. We don't have that. Visas were imposed on Jamaicans, and we're the only one of two countries in the Caribbean Commonwealth that have visa requirements for Britain. Barbados is visa-free. Trinidad is visa-free. Jamaicans are not. And it baffles me to this day that I've had conversation with the High Commission as to why the Jamaican government allowed this to happen. I thought we were friends with the United Kingdom. If you're going to apply visas, then everyone in the Caribbean should be affected by a visa process. Why Jamaicans? Even if there were issues around drug trafficking, it's still not a good enough excuse. So I believe that with Brexit, the visas remain. It will still be difficult for Jamaicans to travel to the United Kingdom. The hostile immigration policy that led to the Windrush scandal will remain. The only opportunity I can see is that with Europeans leaving the United Kingdom, there will be a skills gap. And perhaps for nurses and other skilled Jamaicans, there might be, it is not guaranteed, but there might be opportunities for skilled Jamaicans to travel to the UK. That is as much as I can promise. So those of you who voted for Brexit and thought we were going to get those of you who listen to Nigel Farage and his silver tongue, I think you'll be disappointed. So I want to end on a call for action, because this conference is about action, isn't it? Yeah. And the fact of the matter is this, that we will have to go back home. One, we'll have to go back home and demand an equitable immigration policy. If you are going to have Brexit, which is going to remove the bias that European citizens had, then we need to ensure that we are part of the conversation around immigration. At the moment, we're not. Those of us who live in the UK, just reflect on the conversation that's going on. You are not part of it. None of us, there's no one there speaking on your behalf, so we need to change that. That's a message to me as well, in terms of the UK, but it's a message to the High Commissioner. We need to keep the British Brexiteers, the Nigel Farages, the Boris Johnson, honest. If you campaign on an equitable immigration policy, you need to deliver it, right? One that is agnostic to your nationality, focus more on your skill set. That's one. The other thing as well is that we need to demand that one, the Jamaican diaspora policy is ratified as soon as possible. Because in that policy, the Jamaican government, goal number 7, promises to promote the wellness and safety of members of the diaspora and Jamaican communities at home and abroad. That's what the Jamaican government is promising in that policy that you will all see and review on Wednesday. We need to keep the Jamaican government honest as well. No longer, High Commissioner, should the Jamaican government say that Britain has the sovereign right to implement immigration rules that infringe on the human rights of Jamaicans. The Jamaican government should not be staying silent in Kingston and watching the abuse of its citizens. If you are going to put in your policy that you are here to promote our wellness and safety, we would want to work with you to ensure that you achieve this. But in the past, I'm afraid it has not happened. We would like to see this. You know why the Americans, we think many things of them. But the one thing they're good at, which I admire, is no American is left behind. Jamaica needs to adopt the same policy. Right? The other thing that I'd like us to focus on when we get back is that Jamaicans will have to lobby for a no-deal Brexit. We will have to be very clear as a migrant community, our position. We will have to be very clear, those of you who are members of political parties, those of you who are members of other organizations, will have to be very clear and communicate this publicly that you want and you do not want a no-deal Brexit. Because, oh, I did it wrong, wrong. You know, well, I was assessing that you have a policy. I was assessing that you have a policy.
USA session still going on? Sorry, USA session still going on?
Here, yes.
Thanks.
So I will go through all pillars now because I want to give you an opportunity to speak. So the floor is open. Any questions, comments that you want to share? And we have roughly 20 minutes to have a discussion. Start with our concept.
In Philadelphia's history for decades that the census count increased. The third thing is very important as well. You have to be aware that the census has changed. Previously, a lot of census taking took place physically. The census is now largely going to be online, and that has implications for our community. To the extent, I don't know how you see, but a lot of older Jamaicans are not comfortable going online. So you have to be aware of this, you have to be prepared for this, and don't wait till April 1st next year. You have to start right now. And that's all I wanted to start the process now.
Ambassador, I just want to underscore something about the census. Information is private. Can't be disclosed legally.
Unless we're all
But if you make information is private, cannot be disclosed legally by anyone in the federal government. Right? It is a crime. What is very important about the census is that right now the U.S. Supreme Court is considering a case to add a question as to whether or not you're a citizen.
Yeah.
Right? The opinion is probably come out anytime now. I get a few on our phone by the time that way. So they met in April and they're considering the constitutionality of that issue. And that could be a deterrent for many of our courts. But what I would like to say to the folks who are in this room, when you go back to your respective community, tell your friends and family that we can no longer continue to live in the shadows. Right? We must stand up and not be afraid and be counted. Why? Because there's money at stake, there are laws at stake, there are representation is at stake, and we kind of opportunities that we tend to sometimes, and that's the tend to be a little bit behind the radar screen on the veranda, not really being engaged. And we really have to stop that type of mindset. We talked about in the session there about mindset and leapfrogging, and this is part of leapfrogging. We need to leap out from who we are and really step up.
Good to hear. And I do my next week. I go to Miss Bradley first and then Miss Larry. Okay. But what I just wanted to say one thing to support it's an extreme example, but you know, in Germany, for the entire dominance of the Nazi policies and the situation with Jews. Many Jews were told that, you know, we have a problem, we need to get involved. But persons that this will really affect. So it's very important that you hear the point that this will affect you all in one way or the other. So get involved and participate. And I know the fact that you're here means that you're already people who are involved, but talk to your friends also.
Yes, I just really want to address like the room for those of us who are citizens, and I don't even stand up, my mouth is lying, right? If you're a citizen and you're not with the Democrat or Republican or the Independent, whoever, whatever your choice is to join something so that you have a voice, because if you join a party, you now have access to all those senators, Congress people, council people, you know, and you go to meetings once a month, so it's not gonna take you out of anything. If there's an election, try to be involved and figure out if you can go to whatever that is and be supported. Sign up to go to their local state conferences, because it does help. I became a delegate for President Obama. I don't even know how that happened, but anyway, yeah, I think my accent. But whatever it was, that, you know, there were people in the room that did not know me and voted for me because of the words that came out of my mouth and how I sounded. And I've been able to help people just from being that involved in Africa, whose stuff I've done that I couldn't do, but so it elevates you and it gives you power. If you need a letter, if you need support, you know, that you're being involved, you're being in their system. So you'll go to these meetings, you hear stuff, it curls your hair, you know, but it's once a month and it doesn't hurt, it really helps us, it gives us power, you know, and so that's it, that's my advice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Would it be possible for us to get this presentation, like a copy of it or a recording of it? This presentation, yeah, what your gentleman said.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's cool. And it will also add the details of the report.
Yes.
This is parameter right here, and then, parameter right here.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, she just asked the question just now, so, I mean, it's pretty much.
Oh, you are okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, I just love what you say. And for my organization that assists individuals who get deported, once a month, on the last Thursday of every month, there is a chartered flight that comes down with individuals who have been deported. And what we have seen is an increase in the number, and for things that formerly people would not be deported for. And so it is so very important that we let our people know and we provide support for individuals who are deported. One of the things that we have been trying to do, especially with, you know, I'm a forensic social worker and work a lot in the criminal justice system. And one of the things when I see working with immigrants is when I do my evaluations, I said, but you know something, if this person had not left Jamaica, or this person had not left Costa Rica, or so on, they would not have been able, what is it in the immigration process that, you know, allows them, or vulnerable to falling through the cracks? And on that note, with the support of our ambassador, we put together a handbook for individuals who are coming to the US. We need it for people going to Canada, and we needed people going to the UK, so that you have some sort of resource so you can fall back on, because sometimes it's lack of knowledge that causes people to fall through the cracks and end up in situations where they come right back here. So that's just what I wanted to say. And we're going to be working with the library service in Jamaica here for students coming, you know, going up, you know, and we got an attorney local here who said that they would participate in, you know, in seminars because we need it. Yes, it is available on our website, but it's going to be here that you can get access to.
Questions too, please, because I think
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes, gentlemen, thank you for being here. My question revolves around the overstaying thing. And are there any conditions of overstaying, and I'm just putting this out there, that you would say such a person or individual who overstayed might have a chance of getting through or getting by without being penalized?
So Pillar 1 addresses the path to citizenship over 12-year period. Should I speak about Pillar 1? Sure. Pillar 1 of the 4-pillar plan for immigration reform addresses a path to citizenship over a 12-year period for 1.8 million illegal immigrants who enter the U.S. Under this plan, those who meet education and work requirements and show good moral character will be able to become full citizens of the USA. I think this normally applies mostly to the dreamers, but I think also now for persons who have overstayed, but you can correct me. There are some 6,795 Jamaicans who currently enjoy protection from deportation and are allowed to work under the Deferred Action Program, DACA, and will benefit from this path to citizenship. You can clarify.
Okay, quickly. The current state of the law is that if you overstay even one day, your visa is canceled, even if it says 10 years in the passport. If you overstay, the only way to stay in the United States and adjust is if you are married to a U.S. citizen or you have a U.S. citizen's child that is sponsoring you. Otherwise, you would need to come back to Jamaica to pick up your papers. And what happens, we hear the term, somebody come back to Jamaica and get stuck. Well, it just simply means that they have come out, once they come out, they have triggered the 3-year or 10-year ban. If you overstay between 6 months and a year, you're subject to a 3-year ban from going back. Even if your paperwork is right, they'll say, yes, you're approved, but you can't go back for 3 years. Over a year overstay, you can't go back for 10 years. However, President Obama put in the waiver of illegal presence, which you have to apply for and qualify for. You have to meet certain conditions in order for it to be granted, in order to be accepted from that if you leave the country. So there are some things in place. What the ambassador is talking about is the proposal that they have through the new congressional bill that was passed or whatever, but that has a far way to go. The cardinal lesson that I would give to you is that if you are going to America or your relative is coming to America, do not overstay. Other point to that is you think you're smart, they're smarter. They're asking you for social media information going back for 5 years if you're traveling into the United States. Whether it's at the embassy where you have to fill out that visa application, or if somebody's filing for you and you have to fill out that visa application, they're going back 5 years. It's now the rule. It's been in place 2 weeks. And it's not that they didn't do it before, right? They usually just ask you when you come in. Also, all your devices that you have, cell phone, computer, laptop, iPad, everything is subject to being searched. Other than all the orifices of your body, they can ask you for your password. If you refuse to provide it, then they will deny you entry. It's their choice.
What if you overstay for reasons of health issues?
It does not matter. It's a strict liability rule, meaning if you're going down the street driving 55 miles an hour and the speed limit is 50 and you have your sick mother in the car, rushing to the hospital and the police stop you, and you say, officer, I was speeding, but this is why. They say, oh, I am so sorry to hear about your mother, but you broke the law. Strict liability.
So in 2015, a law was passed whereby if you have outstanding tax liabilities or you fail to file tax returns, your passport, if you're a good citizen, your passport could be revoked. So if you travel to the country, you're going back and you discover that your tax returns were not filed on time or you have tax liabilities, they can revoke your passport. So I want to encourage fellow Jamaicans to file your tax returns and pay your tax liabilities. Now, if you owe taxes and you can't pay it, there are remedies to apply for a payment plan with the IRS, and they'll give you some time to pay it.
Well, not to cut you off, but yes, that's true to a point. But it also relates to if you owe child support, if you owe alimony, it's discretionary. You have to understand that these things are discretionary. And it's so important to know the rules, especially for people who are self-deporting themselves, we call it. They have a criminal background, they have something from 30, 40 years ago, no statutes of limitation. You go, they let you out, but once you try to come back in. And also if you're a permanent resident, please do not stay out of the U.S. States more than 6 months. That will say to them, I am abandoning my residence, I don't want to live here in the United States anymore, and they will shove you into immigration court to prove that you should keep your green card.
Also, for those who are green card holders, it's very important to file your tax returns time, because when you go to apply for your citizenship, they're going to ask you, right, like 3 years tax returns.
Just to let you know, the citizenship application form has moved from 4 pages to 24 pages.
And also, just Ambassador, the citizenship process, instead of 4 months to process, it's now taking 10 months, right? The filing fee is $725. If you're having economic hardship, you can apply for a fee waiver, right? You can apply for a fee waiver, right? And if you are retired or you are part-time job, you can get a fee waiver because $725 is like a mortgage.
Give thanks for win.
Yes, sir.
First of all, good evening, and thank you all for the information you gave us. I have a quick question. As I was thinking about everything, and she kind of gave me a good idea. I was thinking, I want to know how possible it would be. It's kind of 2 questions in one. Because one, America is like, it's a beautiful country, great country to live, but it's also a massive distraction. So when a Jamaican gets to America and there's Netflix and everything, nobody's thinking about the 4 pillars or how to look up their city person or whatever. So I want to know, how possible is it for us to maybe create a list and maybe an updated list where we can inform people who are trying to come to America about the 4 pillars and stuff like that, but also give them the information where they can read it beforehand, but also not even just that, because doing due diligence is tedious and people don't want to do tedious stuff. So how do we incentivize that where people can, it's like you can learn information but you actually want to, so there's some kind of benefit on the back, and how do we set up something like that?
Well, that's a great question, and Carmita, I think they've taken one of the first steps, and this is something that we have been pushing as a diaspora as part of our responsibility to establish pre-departure public education campaign through the government of Jamaica, and that's as being part of the Diaspora Advisory Board. That's one of the things we've talked about, and teaching people how to respect the immigration laws, because that's what the bottom line is. It's their law, you have to respect it. And of course, a USA-wide Jamaica Diaspora Community Education on how the real legislative process really works. And organize joint forces, be counted in the census, obviously, and creating exceptions to the rule, which I call government-to-government negotiation, like what our ambassador has been doing, because there are certain spaces that we can try to carve out for just Jamaicans, but it has to be from a diplomatic to diplomatic, because we have laws, we have treaties, we have all of these things. And again, don't throw stones behind you. Don't really leave thinking you're going to get deported, but prepare to come home on your own steam. Not anybody sending you home. So make those preparations. Don't make the mistakes that a lot of us did, that something had to happen to let you say, oh boy, Jamaica is probably one of the best places to live in the world. Even though it has its problem, it's better than fearing the wrath of the immigration laws or the changes, racism, all of these things that makes America seem so gorgeous. But once you get into it, trust me, a lot of us here can talk about our experiences. So please don't throw stones behind you. Ambassador.
One quick important point, Ambassador. Let's be straight. There are a lot of our people that are illegal right now. Okay. What should they do? Do I stay or do I leave? Right? The law is in process. They're talking about this comprehensive immigration reform, whatever. How is it going to happen? Many of us have family members who are U.S. citizens, who can speak to their representatives as to figuring out the right changes to make to the law. Until the law changes, we're going to have a lot of people in limbo, living behind the shadows, and then potentially getting into more trouble than they're already in. Right? So how can we help them
And there are a lot of, there's depression that comes with this. There's family problems that comes with this. Let's be straight about this. This is a family crisis that creates a family crisis, right? So we have to address it either politically or address it as a community to try to weather the storm until the law is changed.
And we need to, lastly, what I add to, we need to change our attitude to when we hear about people getting removed from the United States. Not everybody who gets removed are criminal, and some people get removed for some simple things. You would be shocked. I can't get into that all now, but that's why we are now using the term involuntary returnees. It gives it a more decent, because a lot of things are blamed on people deported, which are unfounded. So please also change your mindset, because everyone here I know knows somebody who has been deported, if not a family member.
I'd just like to ask, could there be a resolution from this conference to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, asking that they develop a special relationship with the U.S. Embassy here, so that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is furnished with a list of all the persons who have been qualified to go to the United States. And as such, there is a proper preparation program conducted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to say, these people, you say, listen, you don't go smoke ganja, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do that, because these are deportable offenses, and don't do this, don't do that. That way we reduce the amount of deportees. And equally too, we will have to find Mr. Gentleman there who is a returning residents association. We need to do a reintegration program of those deportees coming here so that they can fit in the Jamaican society. Because we're talking about a crime wave that we have here in some manageable way.
Listen.
And some of these people, when they come in, they have never been here before.
Right, Mr. Miller, in the interest of time, remember, involuntary returnees. We have to get it out of our psyche. Second of all, the bottom line really is choices. Sometimes the horse gone through the gate and we're trying to fix the problem. And sometimes no matter how you educate people, but I do agree with you that we need a departure advice program.
Would be for the farm workers.
Well, to a certain extent. But I agree with that, and as I said before, that is something that we've been talking about. See, Carmita has taken the first step privately, not government. And that's one of the things we have to understand among ourselves. Do not put your basket on your head waiting for the government to put things in it. We have to, as individuals, start our initiatives in our own communities among ourselves.
There are two more questions, comments, and then we are wrapping up. So,
Question I have is for the voluntary deportation, not those who are returning, thinking about coming back. How prepared is the government of Jamaica to receive them? Because it's a lot. How prepared?
In terms of the ones who are being removed or voluntary?
Persons who have to make that decision, self-right, to come back.
Well, that's a very hard question because it all depends on that, the resources available. And I take that point because one of the things that England does is that they have a reintegration program. It's for criminal deportees or people who voluntarily leave because of problems with immigration. But that's one of the things I think we can consider in terms of.
It's the same returning residence program Mr. Miller referred to. So there is a program, and the good thing about this discussion is that, and I know Mrs. Williams is here, we're going to be making notes of some areas that we know. Yeah, so that's the returning residence program. And so if you're asking the question, it means that it's not well known. So between that question and Mr. Miller's question earlier, it means that the Diaspora associations that have a website, the Embassy of Jamaica, the consulate, we need to be putting out more information in our social media on the various things that are happening and the ways that we can be helpful. So we can put out information on immigration, on immigration reform and what is happening. We can put out information on involuntary and voluntary returning residents. So you can find more information to guide you. We have to be a bit more innovative in how we communicate. So I think that also, Mrs. Williams, that we need to get from this discussion today to really work on with the ministry in terms of how we communicate both to Jamaicans at home and abroad.
I'd like to help with that.
And you will help with that, okay? That's Mrs. Williams right over there, and Consul General is right here, and Diaspora Relations Officer is right here. Please stand up, and Miss Brand Acting Constance. Or you all stand up so that persons can see as resource persons right after this session. All right? And then the last question is from that lady over there.
Just quickly on the 2020 census. So if they do pass, to ask the question if you're a U.S. citizen or not.
Well, one moment. I see Mr. Williams leaving from the passport office. Emergency, okay, because I was going to say that's another very important.
And they'll be here tomorrow, right?
In terms of,
yes.
Please check out the Beacon office, or both. Lots of information as to how to get a second passport. Go ahead.
So if they are to vote to say that, yes, they're going to ask the U.S. citizenship question on the census, we want to be counted as a community, so for those people that are undocumented, is it our decision or our choice or policy to say fill out the census but leave it blank? Or should they say no, they're not a U.S. citizen, so that there's a comfort level so that people do actually fill out the census?
Fill it out. But I'm looking to see what the U.S. Supreme Court says in terms of giving guidance as to the policy. I'm really looking forward to reading this opinion before the end of the month. But fill it out because it can't be used against you in any immigration proceeding. It's legal, right? So even though there's going to be a public deterrent, fill it out, and then we'll have to call out the army of lawyers to protect you.
From Jamaica, and we're working within the diaspora system. We have developed expertise. And I would encourage you, whenever you are seeking to utilize a professional in the diaspora that relates to your situation culturally and nationally, you should seek out some of those professionals because they're able to relate more to what you are telling them. I've heard so much foolishness come through my office from Jamaicans being informed by non-Jamaicans on their particular issue. We have one gentleman in the room right now, Mr. Charles Randa from Trelawney. I shouldn't even be telling you this. He went to a school down in the country here called Cornwall College. We said, learn or leave. Now, I'll give you an example. He's one of the foremost world experts on smart cities. And the reason I mention this, just like how immigration is moving to cyber investigations, this is the way the world is moving. So here we have a Jamaican who can develop and is world recognized and world renowned. And these are the type of people we have in the diaspora. But he will tell you about his immigration story of when he came to the United States to study and when he had to transition from that to get a green card, graduated top flight as an engineer. And he went through his struggles, but he's here today. So I'm telling you folks, no matter what situation someone is in, immigration-wise, do not tell them to give up. Do not kill their dreams because the laws and the policies can change, will change, and most of the time we will be beneficiary of that change.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a great note to end on. We'll find ways to make this information available for persons who want to see the presentations. And U.S. Embassy of Jamaica, the website, consulates. And we will also work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Diaspora organization to make sure we get out all of this information. I thank you all so much for your time, for taking the time on a Monday evening after a long day to stay here and to participate. It was a pleasure interacting with you. I look forward to seeing you over the next few days. Just continue to be involved. And also, the last note, Jamaica is changing. Jamaica is more and more becoming a place of choice to live, work, and raise your family. So I know you might want to continue living in the United States, but as you've been encouraged to do, think of Jamaica, not just as a place you're from, but the place that you're going to always have your second home. and you can start by investing in the stock market and seeing your money move. You can now access the NHT to get mortgages, so you can start with a deposit on a home and just maintain your second home. Jamaica is a very popular destination for Airbnb, so you can always earn a little money to investing in a home in Jamaica until you're ready to keep it yourself, or you can rent it. So there are so many opportunities. That's another thing that we need. We need to have some financial advisors thinking to persons about all these opportunities and ways to have investment in Jamaica while you're abroad. So, Mrs. Williams, that's another thing that we have to get out to our diaspora, because there are really many opportunities. So just in case you want to come back, yes. Sorry?
Derivative citizenship for them.
And for your children to come back and to give them a choice. So we're wrapping up now. I will hang around a little bit, and the team is here, so for persons who didn't get a chance to ask the questions publicly but have some other thoughts and concerns, we have another 10 minutes here that we can chat some more, but I want to give everyone a chance to mingle and then get home before it's too late and prepare for tomorrow. Thank you all again.
Don't forget Reggae Boys.
Working. Oh.